Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends over at Yarnspirations.com. Today we're going to work with Bernat Alize Blanket-EZ and making the Easy Ripple Blanket. Now the ripple is one of the most popular projects in knitting and crochet to create the up and down motion, and you can also do it with your Bernat Alize Blanket-EZ. So the project asks you to get 9 balls complete. So 3 balls of one color, 3 of another, and 3 of a final color. Of course, if you'd like to make it your own particular style and make it all one color, just grab 9 balls of your Blanket-EZ yarn in order to play. You don't need any tools other than a pair of scissors at the end, and you'll also just need your fingers and maybe a tapestry needle to hide in the loose ends at the end. So I'm going to just take you through the pattern really quickly, and then we're going to get started. Today you just need your fingers in order to play. So here's the pattern, and there's a lot of words to describe something that's very simple. This product needs a lot of words, but once you see it done, you'll see that it goes pretty quick. So you're going to notice that it's going to go in the up and down motion. It's saying to use 85 starting loops. Now if you would like to change the size of this blanket, it's in sets of 14. So you use 14 loops and then another 14 and then another 14 and another 14, and when you're satisfied, then you just add one more loop at the end in order to keep the balance. I also worked it out that each one of these sections that you see here, so one just a chevron equals 9 inches. So if you'd like to change the size of it, if you keep it in sets of 14, you'll notice that you can get another 9 inches across. So it's recommending that, but the blanket that you see here is 55 inches across by 65 inches tall. Again, you can change the colors. We're also going to take a look at the instructions here when it comes to these abbreviations. So let's go through the abbreviations key. It says K2 or K3 together, and this is knit 2 or knit 3 stitches together. So this comes into play in row number 2, but let me explain row number 1 and why it's so big. So row number 1 is the foundation row, and it's from here all the way here, and I know that's a lot of words, but once you see this done, it's going in the up and down motion. It's trying to give you as much detail as possible in order to do it. Once you begin row number 2, you're going to notice that the instructions get much smaller because it says K2 made, so it tells you what K2 is. Working with a yarn in the back, pull next loop through working yarn up through both of the next 2 together. So all of that means K2, and then when you flip it over, you'll see that you end up with K3, and again pull the next loop through all of the next 3 stitches together. So as you become more familiar with this pattern, you're going to notice that these abbreviations simplify it in the way that it's done. But of course I'm going to show you how this is done here on camera. I am going to take my time, so if you feel I'm going a little slow, just fast forward me, and let's begin to try with your Bernat Alize Blanket-EZ. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we need to get ourselves set up. So you need to do 85 loops. So you just individually count them. If you would like to change the size, which I'm going to do 2 sets of 14 for this, so it's a smaller sample. So you just need to count out 85 loops if you'd like to do it like the pattern. In my case, I'm going to do sets of 14. So I'm just going to say 1 loop, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So this here is 1 chevron. So if you did this, that's what that is. So I have 14, and then I'm going to do another set of 14 because I promised I was going to do 2 sets. So starting in the next loop, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So there is my second set, and we have to add one more if you're doing a customization, so you add this loop. So what I'm just going to do is get myself just set up. I'm just going to lay it down so I keep an eye on it because I'm teaching you, and what you don't have to do that, but what I want to do is that take my time going across using the remaining of the yarn. You'll notice that the yarn is on the starting is on my right hand side, so when you finish, then you should be starting from the left going to the right, and if you're not sure about that, just look at the instructions. That's what it says to do. So we're gonna take our time going through the next section, so let's see if we can do it together. So as we begin the outside, what's gonna happen is that we're gonna put the first 2 loops together, and then what we're going to do is then the next 5 loops in a row will each be knit. The next loop then we'll have 3 loops put into it so that it expands, and then the next 5 loops will have 1 into each, and then the next loop, what's gonna happen is that we are going to put this one, and this one into the same loop to bring it together. And what this is doing is it's working in sets of 5 going up, 5 going down, and we just have to worry about the bottoms and the tops. Let's begin. Okay, let's begin. This was the final loop, so this would be your loop 85. So what I want to do is that I want to take the next loop that's available to you that's working towards the yarn strand, and I want you to turn put it in a way that makes sense. So I want you to put it going off into the right hand side. The reason why is that we're gonna pick up these loops and we're gonna drag it through these loops, and it's easier if it's in front of it, and you'll find yourself being a lot faster. So let's begin, and you're going to just start off with your 85 loops. So I've just taken this down, and I want to put the 85 and the 84, the next loop available to you. This is the working one that we want to go. Put them together and put the next loop that's going to the yarn ball through those two from the backhand side, from the back side coming forward. What this is doing, it's doing a decrease. Okay, so you're gonna put those two together. Now what we're going to do is the next 5 in a row will each be one loop going through. So let's start doing that, and we're just going to take the next loop and bring it through the back side. So 1, count it. You really have to count the first time through, and then you're gonna do 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now just put it down and then just pull up. We're gonna deal the twisting if you get some twist, so just make it look perfect. So you just pulling up, so you have 5. So the next loop that you have here is going to be 3 of these loops, because it's gonna expand to make the point. So put the next 3 together. So 1, 2, and 3. Put it together in your finger and grab the next loop and push all 3 through that one loop, and that's the very top peak. And once you get that in, just kind of pull them, and all 3 will be coming out of that one loop. So the next 5 going down is going to each be one loop each. So it's 5 up, 5 down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're at the bottom now. So the next 3 loops here on the working one, we want to put it together. So just stack them with each other, and grabbing the next loop to the working yarn, and you are going to pull it through all 3. So that's the very bottom. So that's a decrease. So that's knit 3 decrease, K3 together, sorry. So the next loop that's available to you here, the next 5 will go up. Just make sure you grab them all the loops, don't leave any loops behind, and just go 1. Getting started is always the hardest for anything really. And then grab the next loop for 2, next loop for 3, next loop for 4, and the next loop for 5. And now you've just gone all the way back up your hill. You can see you're starting to get the up and down motion. So this next one loop here is the top. So you just stack 3 to the yarn, to the strand that's going to the yarn. Put 3 together and push it through the one, and there's the top, and just pull them all 3 through. 1, 2, 3, and then going down. So you're just gonna go up and down in the same motion, and eventually you'll come to the end like I'm about to. So that's when you do your knit 2 together. It's on the ends. So 1, so going down the hill, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And if your math is right, you should end up with 2 loops left at the end, which I do. And so the 2 loops that I have, stack them together and push the yarn, the last loop through, and that's 2 together. So that's K2 together. Okay, so you're gonna do that all the way across and just go back through and just kind of pull up on your loops, make sure everything's good to go, and make sure that everything looks good so far. So let's continue along and we'll work on row number 2. Okay, now that you've gone all the way across, I want you to shift the yarn that's going to the yarn ball towards the left hand side now. So you're gonna scoop it up and drag it into the project. Let's take a quick review. So what's happened now is that the blanket has a bit of a structure now going up and down. You'll see that all the way across, and you'll notice in the peaks there should be 3 loops, just like you see. So there's 3 loops, and then in the bottom the 3 loops that were in the chain work only has 1 coming out of it here. So that's one thing that you have to pay attention to. The ends are always gonna be the same, is that 2 loops will be put together, and the tops will always be the same of 3 loops into the very middle one of there. The bottom, the next 3 loops will become together to form that, and this will keep the motion. So let's start on row number 2. So let's begin row number 2. Starting in the next loop going to the yarn ball, I want you just to take that loop and put the next 2 loops that are in the project itself and put them together. And then take the loop that's going to the yarn ball and push it through the 2. And that's knit 2 together. So 2 loops just were put together, and then continue along. So the next 5 in a row that go up are going to go into the regular loops. So you can count that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna show you a secret in just a moment, and this is 5. Now how would I have known that the next one is the middle one? Because when you go up 5, you're end up in the 3 that were there, so the next one here must be the middle. So when you do that one, the middle will have 3 loops that will come through there. So just stack them and push it through the next loop at the top. Okay, so you want to keep an eye on where your sets are at the tops and then work your way down. So how many goes down in the down motion? Do you remember? It's going to be 5. I just want to make sure that you're understanding this pattern. So starting in the next loop going down, so 1, and then just grab the next one, 2. Getting started with this is always the hardest, that I can promise you, but once you get the motion it'll become easier. So this is 3, 4, and the 5th one. So technically the next 3 are going to come together because they're at the bottom. So you have 1, this one see has already the 3 in there, so this is 2, and then you grab the next one which is 3, and then you're going to grab the next loop and push through all 3 of those, and that becomes knit 3 together. There you go. So now we're gonna go up. So do you remember how many is to go up? If you said the number 5, that's right. So starting in the very first loop that's available to you, so 1, next one 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. What you want to pay attention to is to make sure that none of these loops are twisting on you. So this one, see how it looks twisted? So you just can undo that one and fix it. See, now it looks right. So what you want to do is just kind of scan your eyes over the project at the end of each row and make sure that all the loops look correct. So I had 5 going up, and this is the middle one of the last grouping of 3. So stack the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and push it through. So there's your new top of the peak, and then open it up, and then starting in the next one going 5 down. So you're gonna go up and down just like you know it, all the way across your blanket. So when you're knitting these kind of things, it's referred to as a blanket. In crochet, when you make a blanket, it's usually referred to as an afghan. It all depends on the project you're working on. So I'm going 5 down, and do you hear me counting at all? No. Do I need to count? Technically not really, because what I want to pay attention to is that I had my 3 at the top. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down, and then the last 2 become together. So I know that the last 2 are becoming together, so I don't really need to count if you trust yourself. So put the last 2 together and pull a loop through, and then just go back through your project and just make sure that nothing looks twisted, and you'll see that the up and down motion is really starting to take into play. Let's begin row number 3. Okay, let's begin row number 3. You put the first 2 loops together, and then just put the 1 loop through the back. So that's a knit 2 together. And now just push the yarn over to this side, because you're gonna scoop it up in, and moving to your next loop available to you. You got 5 going up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one will be the 5th. Now, as an experienced crocheter, I wouldn't necessarily count 5 up, because I can see the top 3. So I know that the middle one of the 3 is always gonna be the peak, and that's where the 3 that I'm gonna stack in is gonna be pushed through the back of that 1 loop to make the next grouping of 3 for next time I'm coming across. Open it up, and then go down 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the bottom 3 are gonna come together, so just stack them up and push 1 loop through. It's gonna be a nice tight thing through. If it's too tight for you, what you can do, if you have a crochet hook, just push it through and just pull the loop through. You can do that too. Just make sure you don't twist the loop in a way that doesn't make any sense. So you're gonna go 5 up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next 3 should be the middle, and they are. So this is the 5th one. So the next one should be the top of that peak, and it is. So you're gonna push and stack 3 loops together and push it through that 1. Open it up, and then move it along down. Okay, so there's gonna be 5 going down. So 1, and technically I don't need to count it, but 2, 3, 4, and 5, and there should be 2 loops left, and there is. So stack the 2, and you're gonna knit 2 together by using the same 1 loop from the back. So you're just gonna go back and forth on this project, and you'll notice that the stitch work is starting to really line up nicely. You can see you have a decrease in the middle, you have your points to do. So if you wanted to change color in this, all you would just need to do, let's cover what you would do if you had to do that. So what you would just do, let's just change the color here. So let's just trim 2 loops. So just cut it after 2 loops. And then what I want you to do is run the scissors up through the bottom side of the loop and open up the loops. Okay. Okay, so now that you got that, take the new strand that you want to start and open up the 2 loops that are on the end of the strand. So say this was a different color. I only have dark colors here in stock. I only have black, which is harder to see on camera here. So you take the new color and then you start with the new color. So you would just start, stack the first 2 and grab your new color and start as you normally would. And pull that through and continue to do it as you normally do. What you can do with this one here at the back, you can just tie it in a quick knot. And then that puts it together. And then all you just have to do is just put it onto a tapestry needle. And then just weave it into the back side. So just dragging it through the stitch work on the back. Try not to go in the front side and just hide it. So go in once. It's not a very long strand, so you don't waste much. And then 2. And then 3. And you'll do that with both of the strands that you have. Now what if you wanted to bind off at the very end of the project? I'm gonna show you how to do that. And when you bind off, you're gonna go from right to left. And the bind off is really quite simple. And we're gonna end it the same way that we're kind of doing this right now. So just hide in your loose ends if you're changing colors. And continue along in the process. And don't worry about the extra fluff stuff. It's just because I'm cutting certain fibers. So let's show you how to bind off next. To bind off, what we're going to do is that we are going to then just start immediately, and we are going to just not worry about this tail anymore, and we're gonna go from right to left. We're gonna take the next loop that you have and feed it through the first loop. This is how you would do it with regular knitting as well. And then you take the new loop and feed the next loop through it. And now the new loop. And you're gonna do this all the way across your project. So you're doing a nice finished, this is called a bind off. In crochet, when we finish, it's called a fasten off, but in knitting it's finished this it says cast off, or in this case it's bind off. So we're just feeding the loops one after another all the way across. Okay, once you get to your last loop, you're just gonna feed it through, and now you have one lonely loop left. Now don't do too much of it, just let it sit there. So you're gonna take the strand that you started with over here, and you're just gonna cut it 2 loops and leave 2 loops in to the project, and then just cut it. And then just open up those 2 loops. It's like a horseshoe shape. If you go in the bottom, you'll open up the strand that holds them together as a loop. You're gonna take this one and just release 3 loops. And then open that up. So this here is going to be used for the other side for securing that final loop in. So you can see that I didn't cut it in the right space, and I accidentally cut the loop open, but this is enough for me. So what I wanted to do is that I want to take that strand through, and I want to lock it into the existing one. So you can use a crochet hook or a tapestry needle, and just gonna pull it through so that it traps it in, and then you're gonna tie a knot. And like I showed you before, you want to throw the tails through a tapestry needle and then just weave them into the project. So just grabbing your tapestry needle, just drag those in and out a total of 3 times. So that side's in once you've got that done. This side here, because you've opened it, you're just gonna take it through a tapestry needle, and again just drag those through the underside. So the underside looks like complete knitting, and you're just gonna drag it through the stitch work. So just drag it through 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. and once you have it in 3 times it should be good to hold. And that would be how you would complete that. So you just have to change your colors as often or as little as you wish, and this would be how you would do the Bernat Alize Blanket-EZ ripple blanket. And this is a really neat idea, and I think that you'll enjoy it at the same time.